Right. So, anyway, take three, director.
Take three. Take three.
Take three. Right. God, don't you love technology? The way it makes us easier, connects us, it binds us, it breaks us down
Yeah.
morally.
Yeah, and then it just stresses us out.
Yeah. So, right again, paranormal residence.
Yeah.
You've been in, so you've been around the area of
Yeah. Uh,
Ballinasloe.
Ballinasloe, the lunatic asylum, and I have to say it's just an amazing place. The like everything is just left behind. It's like walking into the past, and it's just a maze inside, and very spooky at night. Incredibly spooky at night. Like
I'm always fascinated by like what I notice more so on your history that you go
yeah,
into. What kind of information and where do you get information? So, for instance, on Claire's house, is that
yeah.
forums? Is that
That is local knowledge. So, like
okay?
some is there's always local ghost stories. So you'd hear from a friend and a friend. But anything like that, I take lightly. So,
Right.
like, if there's actual documented history that I can Google, I'm happy to use that as well. But with local stories, I'm more skeptical of them as well because everybody has a ghost story about something.
Yeah.
So, but with Claire's house, that video, I went with a group of friends and they actually were from the area, so they would have known who was there at the time or like who died there, and the local stories that nobody would go near the house because it was so haunted, and this woman wasn't very inviting if you went into the house, and it was a very sad story as well with Claire's house that she died alone, and
Yeah.
you know, everything of hers was just left behind. But it's like a privilege for me to walk into these places and see um, all this like stuff that you just wouldn't see usually. It's just incredible.
Because she seemed to live a rather comfortable life. Like her
Oh yeah,
house was massive. She had a hospital
beautiful house.
bed. It looked like a HSE bed. It looked like
Yes, but see, but then like the house was very. It was kind of the wallpaper was peeling, and she only died maybe about 10 years ago, I think it was. So like
right.
the house did need improvement, and I don't think she was able to manage such a huge house as well. But
Yeah.
she came through strong on our spirit box that we used, and she was talking about her children, and then we were thinking her husband came through as well, and he was not happy we were there
That
whatsoever. He was just
was
telling,
it
yeah,
Patrick or Daniel or David or something like that.
that many names I don't have a clue,
Yeah.
but one of them it was a tick farmer anyway.
He was very thick.
Yeah,
Because I was watching it last night just to try and get some background into it, and your videos are very clear cut. They're very, you have your intro, which is amazing, and your overall, like, again, what really amazed me was the history that you go into. And I know what you're saying about taking it lightly.
see what I try and do with like YouTube as well is I try and make something that I would want to watch,
Right.
and it took me a while to learn how to do that because it's not as easy as people think, editing and things like that. I'm only learning as
Yeah.
I go, and what I like to do, I don't want people watching and not having a clue where I am or not knowing the
Yeah.
type. I want to kind of build the atmosphere for people before they watch. And like with paranormal activity, if I didn't do history or anything like that, it would literally just be me talking to thin air half the time. So I like to, and one thing that I really love about my channel in particular is how much I've learnt about Irish history and where we all came from.
Yeah.
And like in school, I was shocking at history, never cared, never even bothered with it. I think I passed it at some degree, but nowadays I'm fascinated by the history and what we came from, and
Right.
especially with our fight for freedom, the Irish fight for freedom, and just the way, like, most of these amazing places I go were English homes, and like the way they were just destroyed by the IRA during the 1920s, and just walking into that history is just, it's an experience and a half, and I absolutely love it. And I think with Paranormal Resident, the good thing about my channel is that I go to like local cemeteries and local graveyards, and it's totally like discovering new haunted locations.
Right. Because I definitely do get a sense that you love what you do.
Oh, I definitely do. Yeah.
And you're interested in it, because I've always had an interest in it. Like I said, we could be driving around anywhere in Ireland, and I'd be like, "Oh, we'll pull in here, take a few photos," and she'd be like, "Not a hope. Like it's too dingy. It's not right."
Yeah.
I kind of tend to do that kind of stuff when I'm on my own, because then again, you know, there's a lot of houses around that I've been to that myself, just taking photos or even being outside it and taking photos of it, that kind of thing. Have you ever, so you said that you fell and slipped and gone through roofs and stuff. Have you ever tripped into something that, or filmed something that you thought, this is too risky for YouTube, this is not, you know?
Well, sometimes the only thing I wouldn't put on YouTube, and the reason why I never gave, like in Claire's house, for instance, her last name or put a picture of her up or anything like that, is any living family members. So like if I went to a graveyard, I would stay away from modern gravestones, or if I was communicating with a modern spirit, I would never put that on YouTube. But you know, I suppose I have to be careful with swearing, but I still do. I don't really care about that. It's not about that for me. What I like to show is just a regular guy going ghost hunting and screaming and being afraid, like being vulnerable about it. Instead of putting up this bravado like I'm this brave, macho ghost hunter and I'm trying to get all this evidence and I want to summon a demon. No, ghosts are scary because we don't understand it, and some people don't believe in it either. So what I like to show is a vulnerable person going into these places and being scared, because I am scared. And there's like, I've spent nights in these places and it's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying.
And I absolutely can tell in the video, in particularly of Claire's house, when you literally, I don't know if you hit the roof, but you definitely moved. You felt something grab your side. And I was watching that and I was like, I never seen anybody move that quick.
Yeah, so I'm part of a team as well, Paranormal Adventures Ireland, and we do like public events and stuff like that as well.
Right.
So I went with them that day, and it was just as friends we went, and you know, just to go do an investigation. It wasn't a public event or anything like that. And I was grabbed when I was lying down, and I was sure, or I wasn't lying down, I was sitting down doing a spirit box, and I was sure a rat or something got held of me. I was more concerned. I didn't really care about the ghost at that moment because I was with people, and I'm not too bad as long as people are around me. But the feeling was unbelievable, and I really did feel like, you know, when someone grabs you, you can feel the hand grab you, and that's what I really did feel like. So in the video, you'll see me so shocked that I can't really understand what happened. Like, they're the kind of best moments and hard to explain because I couldn't really figure out what happened to me. And that's when you're like, that's good evidence, because it wasn't like, oh, it definitely was a rat or this or that, the other. It was in the video, my face just drops and I jump.
There was definitely a point in it where I was watching you and your whole body language changed from that moment on. And you definitely had a sense of, what the fuck? Like, I mean, genuinely, the Claire's house to me more kind of stood out more than Ballinasloe, because I think with Ballinasloe you kind of expected more bumping and, you know, more communication with all the horrors that went on there. And
this was like any other house kind of in a way, and it was like, that could be your house that's haunted. I love there's known haunted locations in Ireland, but I get the most activity from the ones that are not known. The ones that don't have paranormal investigators going in and out with them. Believe it or not, like, Ireland is full of paranormal investigators. It's a huge community.
I reached into that community from yourself, because I literally put up, I think you came onto my algorithm on YouTube, on my search thing. So you're working hard enough. Let's just put it that way. So I put up and it was literally like Ballinasloe. No, because I was like, did anybody ever go into the asylum in Ballinasloe? And you were there, and it amazed me how long the video was, and I know I keep referencing that one, but that's more so my favorite one, and I think
Yeah.
you know, but yeah,
Part of me wants it to be genuine. I don't want like back. Like, I do edit. Back then, I didn't really know how to edit, so that's why it was so bloody long. But I like the fact that I'm bringing the. I like to think I'm bringing my subscribers with me. So I don't want it to have all these jump cuts and me like,
yeah,
you know, stitched kind of thing. I want it to be like me and you went and explored St. Bridget's Lunatic Asylum together for the night. We spent an hour there. You watching my video or whatever, and I like that interactive part of it and bringing my
yeah.
subscribers up for the journey. Like,
Well, it definitely was a journey. Even Claire's house, because even going to these places, like you were in Loftus Hall, you were in so many places that people
yeah,
that would only you'd only kind of see those places in the movies, like you know,
like I had the privilege like of staying overnight in Loftus Hall twice. I've had the privilege of going to Lap Castle numerous times overnight, and hosting the public as well. And we went to Oranmore Castle in Galway recently overnight.
yeah,
I've been to the Hellfire Club overnight. I've been to haunted libraries, haunted mansions, and just the experience of it is just something like you are exhausted the next day. You're wrecked because you never sleep.
yeah.
We're up all night. Sometimes we get maybe an hour kip in the car or something like that because we're too afraid to sleep in the castle after a night in the spirits. Especially in Oranmore Castle, I was exhausted come 5 o'clock in the morning. I was like, I'm going to the car, good luck. I don't care if it's haunted or not.
Yeah,
But
because I'd definitely be me. I'd be in the car.
we're back. Actually, me and my team now, Paranormal Adventures Ireland, we're back in Lep Castle on the 24th and the 30th of October overnight. So that's going to be a lot of fun because we'll be there on the 30th, and after midnight, of course, it's going to be Halloween, and we get to spend the night and scare the public.
And is that a public event? Is that a
Yeah, so
yeah?
we keep our numbers small, especially now with the pandemic.
Sure.
It'd be about like 10 people is usually our maximum anyway.
Sure.
So like to keep it small, so people, it's like going ghost hunting with friends. We're not a tour group or anything like that. It's a non-profit thing. Like we pay our way, the public pay our way. We don't make any money from it. It's just sheerly for the love of it that we do it, and we have a lot of fun. And it's fun bringing people who have never experienced these things before into it, because to us, it's normal. So we do it like, especially like I've been doing this over a year and a half now, and I've been to hundreds of locations. I haven't stopped in the last year and a half, and it's just been a journey, definitely. And I think I'm just so used to things going bump in the night now at this stage that I'm not going to say it takes a lot to scare me. Sometimes it does.
Right.
Sometimes I just panic. Like, it depends on the location and the feeling you get. But it's fun seeing the reaction of the public, especially skeptics who come and like, oh, this is all bullshit. This is not real. And to see their reaction to when we're asking out for a ghost maybe to tap out a number of times, or could say their name on the spirit box, or they could experience something, like they could get sick, or they could feel something touch them, or they could see something. I think
Yes.
one things I heard when I was investigating Lep Castle that chilled everyone to the bone, and I think most of us heard it, was a little girl screaming at the top of her lungs when we were in the bloody chapel of Lep Castle, and like there was no children in Lep Castle. It's an adult only event, and it was terrifying. It's very, very spooky.
Well, you were in the asylum and you heard hi. Remember that? The
Yes,
little girl
yeah.
hi.
Yeah.
And the equipment that was, I'm sure, like that was a pretty horrific place.
Yeah.
Can you explain to the viewers, because spirit boxes and the equipment that you would use, even the recorders, I think you were using some ghost app or ghost
Yes. Yeah.
that was calling out random words. Just explain to the community what that is, what those equipment is that you would use.
I always say the best equipment is yourself. So, like, for me, equipment is secondary. The best thing is if I hear an audible out of nowhere without using equipment, or if I hear noises with equipment. But with a spirit box is literally a radio that switches through channels at such a speed that you're not going to be able to hear the actual channels.
Right.
So the spirits are able to influence this and use their voice and their energy to talk to me, basically.
Okay.
And with the recorder, EVP, things that EVP is just literally a voice recorder, like a dictaphone. And what we can't hear with our naked ear, this will pick up. So spirits are said to be on a different frequency than us. So sometimes you need a device to talk to them because they don't have enough energy to actually come and make some noise for you for real, which they do still, like, and that impresses me more. And GhostTube is another YouTuber who I've followed for a long time, and with ghost apps I am highly skeptical about, but with GhostTube I know personally how it works, and I know it can't work on certain phones because it needs an electromagnetic field to work. And
Okay.
basically them words that you hear coming through on GhostTube is, if something changes the environment around me, changes the electromagnetic field around me. So basically, like, EMF is just literally like, that's what a ghost is. That's how we sense ghosts. It's their electromagnetic field,
And
basically.
does it mean because when you were using that app, then it would change, the words would change? So does that mean then that the strength would get larger or stronger if it changes a word, or is it just that there's more activity?
Like, say if there was no, if there was no energy around, they wouldn't trigger a word. So like the ghost, seemingly, would they would change the environment and pick a word for me from the library. They can manipulate objects the same way. It's the same type of idea. Do you know how, I suppose, people were more used to like ghost affecting electricity, so lights flickering and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a learning curve for spirits to get used to this technology. So like when we always start up an investigation, it takes a while for anything to come true because they don't really know how to use it. And they're trying to figure it out over time. But then it's usually always like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning that all of a sudden they're geniuses at, and they'll scare the crap out of us.
Well, you see, they probably would have never seen technology if they're an old ghost or spirit or entity.
I've got a lot of responses. What is that toy you're using? What is that box you're using?
Yeah.
I find that very interesting because they're watching me going around with this black box in my face, and they can see me reflected.
Wow.
And it must be bizarre to them to see that. And that's always in the back of my mind. So I always try and talk to them as if they were real people and not just spooky ghosts and sheets. I talk to them as if I'm talking to you now, so they'll actually communicate with me. And that's, of course, if you believe. Understand if people don't believe. And listen, being a ghost hunter has made me incredibly skeptical. Like, I am not one to think everything's a ghost, and I always say that, like, I'm not is a ghost. People overreact, and I think when people have it in their mind about a paranormal investigator that they're seeing ghosts, and that if they go to this place at night they will see a ghost. I haven't seen a ghost yet. I've seen a ghost when I was younger, when I was little, but I haven't seen a full ghost yet. I've heard things that I can't explain. I felt things. I have been touched, and you sense things after a while. You kind of know if a place is good or bad, and it's not what people see on telly. That's what I always try and tell people. If they're interested, that's all drama. It's nothing like that.
I remember watching David Okora in Haunted Great Britain.
I grew up watching most.
Right, yeah, and I think every kid in the 90s, early 90s, late 2000s would have.
But it was so different. It was so like.
I remember him being in Charleville, and it was like Hollywood, and it was kind of like, I didn't really buy it, but my sister got married, and she had her wedding photos there. And this was the time where we could go into the dungeon and go down to these places. And again, I was 11 or 12. And to see the dungeon, to see it, but without having a fathom of history. Because at 12 years of age, 11, 12, you don't really care.
I wouldn't have a fit, like, it would just be a playground to me. Like,
recently.
I love to go to. That's actually one place I haven't gone.
Really?
And I am going soon. I'm going to Charleville soon. But I know of people from the paranormal community, and even my sister-in-law had an experience in Charleville where she felt like she was being strangled. And that seemingly that's a thing that happens there. And then it's supposed to be haunted by a little girl who fell down the stairs. I think it's Emily or Sharon or something like that.
The story goes is that there's two staircases, so the main staircase and then there's the staircase up to the room. And they were going down, I believe it was dinner, or the kid was playing in the nursery and was going down the banister and slipped and broke her neck and died. And then I think the mother then committed suicide, I believe. But it's a very interesting place. I live very close to there, so that's my village.
Yeah, well, next time I'll drag you along, shall I?
Sure, absolutely. I'd love that. I'd absolutely love that. I would love that. I would love that.
On here.
You have me on all the social medias. So the EMP, that's just a low level sound recorder that you use.
The EVP is
EVP, sorry.
It's a highly sensitive voice recorder.
Right.
So it will pick up the tiniest little thing. Like if we breathe wrong, when we're doing that, we have to be dead silent. We don't breathe because it will pick anything. But have got responses. I went to Lacking Castle here in Tipperary, and we heard the craziest stuff coming through. It almost, sometimes when you're talking to the spirits, it sounds like they're having a conversation that you're not involved in.
Right.
So you can hear them talking among themselves, who are these gobshites here in this castle?
Yeah.
It's a bizarre thing, but I love doing the EVP. Is very hard to be more skeptical about, because it's a voice recording. You know yourself. If I'm recording myself and I didn't talk, and there's a voice on the thing, and I can show the time, and we like to do live EVP sessions. So basically, it's we do it at the moment. It's not like we listen back and then put it up. You know. Oranmore Castle, I know Carlo and the other guys from the team, they were up in one of the bedrooms in the castle, and as clear as day, and I don't think this was actually on the EVP, but the EVP picture picked it up. Everyone heard it in the room. They were talking about some colonel who was there in the castle, and as clear as day, I was like, yeah. And it was a real, creepy.
That's incredible. Incredible.
And I remember they thought it was me, and I was like, no.
Yeah. Well, you see, you wouldn't want to ruin if you go in and scare each other in the houses, because that I think would scare them off, but that would then cause you all to be on edge.
We find if you're really, really nervous, sometimes the spirits, if they're nice spirits, they don't really want to scare you. So we try and have a bit of fun. We try and laughing is really good to pick up the energy and get things going. We pull the piss out of each other on the team.
Sure.
I love going with the team, but we usually go to just events and things together. We just come up as friends and exploring together. But I find a lot of stuff does happen when I'm doing my YouTube channel, Paranormal Resident. That's when stuff really does happen, because it's just me by myself, and I'm very vulnerable to whatever is there. Yeah,
you seem very sensitive. Not sensitive, but what I mean is you seem very open.
I'm sensitive.
Open, but you seem very they would come to you more than a group.
Yeah,
is it a thing that you'd have an advantage if you did go hunting on your own or two people? Is there a limit?
I think for comfort's sake, I like going with people just for the sheer fact that if you've experienced something, you can talk to the other person and they can say they've seen the same thing, and it's good to kind of get that, the two people,
right,
that same thing, that's good evidence. But if it was just me, myself, I do be so scared.
I know.
When you're in the situation, and then sometimes I do be at the top of these castles, so there's no quick escape for me. So if something does happen, it's going to take me a good 20 minutes to get the hell down again.
Yeah. Because these places that you go are vast.
Yeah.
And if anything was to happen to you, is there, as you said, it could take you 20 minutes to get out. But the likes of Claire's house, the likes of Leith Castle, the likes of the place down in what the other place was. Sorry, escapes my mind now.
Armor.
Arnmore.
Yeah.
These places are so vast.
Yeah.
Is there a plan in place if something does go wrong? Now, I'm not saying a ghost comes out and lurches at you, but
Yeah. Well, there'd be more like safety procedures that we'd kind of take into effect.
yeah,
Like, if one of us fall, like I'd always have my phone on me, and I'd always make sure it's stuck to me, that I wouldn't like fall away, that I couldn't reach it if I did fall. I've been in some sticky situations, but I am careful with what I do. I always test the floor to make sure I don't go through it. But at the beginning, I was stupid, and I think when I fell, that changed me.
okay.
So that I was like, okay, now, Kieran, you need to cut. This was your warning sign.
Yeah.
Like, you're not die for a YouTube video. End off.
Yeah.
So like, when I was stuck, like dangling in between two floors, like about a 6 foot drop beneath me into a cellar, and there was bits of wood sticking into me and it's around my hips, and it was horrendous. But luckily I was with someone at the time, so I think after that I changed, and I actually dislocated my shoulder as I was falling down. I tried to grab myself, but now I'm very, very careful. I'm still a bit of a daredevil, but I think life is, it's full of risks.
Absolutely.
As we know with COVID. So I'd rather, I'd rather die and haunt a cool haunted location than die in a very boring way. So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'll die do something I love.
Yeah, well, true. Where was that? Where did that accident take place, or where was that incident?
That happened actually the day I went to St. Bridget's Asylum. I was with a Northern Irish team, and they invited me along to do St. Bridget's because they knew how to get in and stuff. So I was like, okay, I'll go and do a collab. And on the way there, we found an abandoned farmhouse. We got through a window, and I just was walking down the hallway filming. And sometimes when I'm filming, I'm trying to get the whole house to show people, so I'm not focused enough.
You kind of lose yourself in the camera.
And then in these locations, sometimes we have to be quick because maybe we're not supposed to be there. So don't tell anybody. But,
no, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that next.
Sometimes we're not supposed to be there, so I have to be quick, and I have to try and get this video done. Then Spirit Box introduction, history, learn a bit about it, get some photos for Instagram, maybe go live, and that all has to happen within like 40 minutes. So it's with them type of locations where I'm not supposed to be. And I was just walking down the hallway, I heard a creak, and I was like, oh, is that a ghost? And then doof, went straight down.
That's incredible. So another thing, and I guess there is a tourist industry there in itself. Like you said, you did paranormal nights, group excursions, various other stuff. Has there ever been a no-go area? Have you ever thought, okay, we're going to bring these group of people next to you, go around the corner, gate, guard, or whatever? Has there ever been
I would never bring the public somewhere that's dangerous. We don't do that. We would, like, for us, like Lep Castle and places like that, the owners would put on these ghost events and we would host them.
Okay.
So we would, of course, make sure they're safe because the stairs are still very dangerous and things like that. But people still actually live in these places, and they'd rent it out to us, and we'd bring the public with us. And but we would never do that where it would only be us, the team ourselves, if we were going to a dangerous place, that there was any fear of anybody hurting each other, because
liability.
Insurance would be crazy, no way of doing anything like that. And even in Lap Castle and stuff like that, you sign stuff before you can stay the night, and of course we can't guarantee anything is going to happen, because a lot of people come and then they're disappointed because nothing happened. But we're not going to fake it just to please people.
Well, you see, that's the thing. A lot of people think, oh, it's smoke and mirrors. It's adrenaline. It's theatrical, and it's an adrenaline filled.
We've never had that even earn, like, we never wanted to fake it, we never wanted to even think along the lines, because it ruins it for us. Like, it's a passion for us. We want to know if there's life after death as much as the public do.
Right.
So, we find it interesting with the public. Like, seemingly we have spirits around us all the time. We have our guides, we have our angels, if you want to call them, but we have our past loved ones around us that protect us and stuff. And sometimes they come true from the members of the public onto, like, the spirit box, or if we did, like, the Ouija board or glass divination, things like that.
Have you ever got a spirit that came through someone that was in a group with you, like in the spirit box?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like, was there any bad ones or any ones that like scared the bejesus out of you?
So people that have communicated specifically for the people in the group, is that?
Yeah.
So like, say a lost loved one that would have been passed on.
That, like, or even my granddad, who died years ago, could come true and say his name.
Wow.
And it's like that, and stuff like that is like personal evidence that is hard to argue with. You know, it's quite like amazing and things like that. And I'm sure yourself and you probably have felt things like that before, but of course you're kind of unsure about it. You don't really
kind of a shiver more so than a question.
I'm a big believer in it, and Kieran was kind of skeptical until we went to a medium show. And the spirit actually came through for him, and he just looked at me and he was like, holy fuck. He was like, what the hell? I was like, I told you.
Yeah, it's incredible, but I've always had a fascination of, like, not the paranormal as a tourist industry, but as like a kind of a dark, if you kind of look at it, it's kind of like dark tourism. So like people that go to graveyards, people that do the whole spooky, you know, staying in castles at Halloween, that kind of thing.
That's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
I suppose, like, I think with the whole paranormal world, especially in Ireland, like, Ireland has so much history that there's so many, like, haunted places that it's like a candy shop for a ghost hunter. Like, I always get, most of my following is American, because the Americans love Ireland.
They love Ireland, yeah.
Yeah, and they just really want to experience, like, things that are happening here, and they love our culture and stuff like that. But oh god, I lost my train of thought. But whatever I was saying.
Yeah, I'm going to open up to questions from my viewers.
Yeah.
So, we have Darren McMahon. Hello, Darren, and welcome to the stream. And I'm sorry if I did miss anybody that came into the stream. You're all welcome to it. Darren asks, is there any place that you would not go back to? Not sure if you've had that question before thrown at you, but
I've never had. That's a very good question.
That's a good question.
That I would not go back to. I think as a ghost hunter, you'd always go back, but if I had to pick, it would be Hellfire Club in Dublin.
Oh wow!
Because I felt like something followed me home, and for 2 weeks I couldn't sleep. And I was talking to a medium after that, and they said a street child from the Victorian times who used to shelter up there actually followed me home, and he was in my house for weeks, seemingly.
So so the Hellfire Club was it was a gentleman's club, wasn't it, for back in the day?
Club, but seemingly they had orgies, worshipped the devil. It's up in the mountains. And we went up there, climbed that mountain. Oh my god, I nearly died.
It's supposed to be a place for raves now and illegal stuff.
We were
now.
lucky. A lot of ghost hunters kind of stay away from it now because of the raves and parties and drugs that are being taken up there and stuff like that. But the night I went, I was lucky, and it was an experience, and it was very windy and creepy and cold, but there wasn't much activity. But it wasn't until I left. I think when you come home after these locations and you have to go to sleep and be by yourself in a bedroom, or even if you're with someone in a bedroom, you're always in the back of your mind, did something follow me home? And this was the only time, and I've been to the most haunted places in the country, this was the only time that I really felt like something was there with me, and we could hear my partner and myself. We could hear running up and down the stairs. We could hear and it was like a child playing in the hallway. So for 2 straight weeks I didn't go, and then I had to go get a cleansing, which was from my Reiki healer, and we got rid of them. And I remember so clearly when I came in to go to the Reiki, they stopped me at the door and said, "Someone's there with you."
Oh my God!
Whoa! So yeah, that was my next question about. Is there any? Okay, sorry. So we have a question from Jake. Hello, Jake. By the way, sorry.
He wants to know what is the most haunted place in Ireland, or the most haunted place that you visited.
Most activity haunted.
Yeah.
Well, the most haunted place in Ireland and even Europe is Leap Castle. Seemingly.
No, you want me to go there.
I have always wanted to bring Sinead there.
I die.
We host a lot of events there, and we know the owners, so yous are coming.
I'm washing my hair.
The Leap Castle would have the bloodiest history I've ever gone to.
No.
That has,
literally goosebumps.
30-something people died in the bloody chapel. A priest killed his brother killed his priest brother, his other brother, up in the bloody chapel. So that's said to be the most haunted place. And even the owner of Leap Castle, Sean, he's a lovely man, and he wouldn't be into bullshit like that, and he's had so many experiences. His daughter seen a little girl and stuff like that. But sometimes Leap Castle can be quiet. Like with anything, it's hard to pinpoint what's the most active place. Like the most active place for me personally I've been to is not a famous haunted location. It was an abandoned school I went to outside Borskane in Tipperary, and I had doors slamming on me. I had a little girl singing. I was by myself.
Oh my God.
I caught the door slamming on camera on command, which was one of the footage that I got that I'm well proud of. But this was at the beginning when I started out, so the video was a nightmare. But I'm talking to the door and I'm like, "Please close the door for me," and the door, like with gusto, slams.
Oh
like it was like, do you know when a wind slams a door?
Yeah.
It wasn't really windy, and the whole time I was there it didn't happen again.
No.
And then I went back the next time to this abandoned schoolhouse, and it happened for a second time. So it was like the repetition is just really good.
It wasn't so much a coincidence as the first time you think, okay, wind. Do you get a lot of people on your YouTube channel that say, "Oh, creaky pipes"? They always have a kind of a reason behind everything.
What I try to do is I let people decide for themselves. At the end of the day, I'm not going to force my beliefs or how I feel about it down people's throat, because at the end of the day, I still have questions. I believe there is something, but I just don't. We're just not supposed to know about it, I think.
Yeah.
I don't. We are supposed to know what the other side is, and we're not really supposed to be communicating with them. But I think
it's crazy.
The skeptic people, like, I welcome them to my channel because I know they're just like me. They're searching for answers. We all just want to know that this is not the end. You know, if we die, that's the end. It's just blackness. We all. There's something in us that, as humans, we worship always a higher being. Like, we always have to worship something. Nobody can really explain that. Like, even Einstein said, energy cannot be destroyed. It can't be destroyed. So we are energy. You know,
Jake's dad went to school in Borskane.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Did he go to that secondary school? Or went to secondary school in Borskane?
I actually did a video at the secondary school in Borskane. It used to be an old workhouse. And there's a graveyard there, and I got some incredible responses on the spirit box there.
Yeah, I have to say your spirit box videos, incredible footage.
Kieran was watching them, and I was like, "No," I was like, "I can't."
I'd say to Sinead, "Come on, we'll cuddle up and watch this dude. I'm interviewing him," and I was just like, "It's." And again, thank you so much for saying yes, because this is my first one. As you can tell, it's a complete amateur hour in the loony bin, but. No, I
remember how happy I was that an Irish person asked me to do an interview.
Do you get a lot of Americans, English people that
yeah. And then some Americans will say, "Oh, you're from the British Isles."
A bit closer.
Rise me up the wall. But no, like my American followers, I owe like everything to them because they're so interested in Ireland, and
absolutely,
I love showing them. Do you know, like when Americans come to Ireland, there's the normal places to go to. You know, Dublin, that's it. So I love showing them like Offaly and Tipperary and them around. It's so much fun.
No, because I know we were in Long together, and Kieran said to me, "What's Charnville Castle? You know, it's lovely, romantic." I was like, "Yeah, cool." Knew nothing about it, and we went up, and I remember it was it was a really hot summer day, really, really warm. I was like, "Oh my god!" We went up, and I was like, "Tim," I was like, "You getting cold?" He was like, "No, it's grand. You're all right." And there's 2 American girls there, and we went in. And from the minute I went in the door, the hairs on the back of my neck just stood up, and I was like, "Nope." I was like, "Kieran, what?" And he was like, "Yeah, I didn't want to."
Would you say that would mean you're very sensitive to spirit?
Yeah.
So
she's always told you were very.
I've always been told that. Yeah.
You're very quickly, and spirits would be drawn to you because maybe your light will be a lot brighter. So, like, if you're sensitive, of course you're going to get more activity because spirits will be drawn to you. If you're going to be like, "That's bullshit," why would a spirit want to talk to you? Think if you were a spirit, who would you go to?
Yeah.
The girl who will talk to you and talk to you like a person, or the person who's going to call you fake or you're not real? So that a lot of activity happens around sensitive people, and with cold spots especially, like we find that everything kicks off once it gets cold.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know like anything about it. It was my first time there, and like that it was like really hot outside. I got cold the minute I went in, and then we went into a little room where it's like a little play area where that girl died, like, and the hairs on my neck, my arms, everything, and I was like, Tiernan, I was like, "I have to get out of here." I was like, "I can't breathe." And he was like, "What?" I was like, "I need to leave." I was like, "I'm sorry, I'm done." And the 2 Americans were like, "Oh my god, this is amazing." And I was like, "I'm gone, good luck." I was like, "Let me out."
You're like me when I started my channel. Good luck.
Well,
not today.
Yeah, and I have to, like, the humour that you have when you're going, like, you know, you're not afraid to go there with the ghosts, with the spirits, with the entities, like.
Have you ever been to the Collins Barracks in Mullingar?
Have you ever been to the Collins Barracks in Mullingar?
No, but I'd love to go, and that's where actually I grew up close by. I grew up in just outside Mullingar, and I would love to go to the barracks in Mullingar. I must actually go and have a walk around, but I'm pretty sure there's CCTV there. So I have to get some serious permission from the council to actually go. And usually the council aren't very inviting to ghost hunters.
That's another question I had to ask you, actually. I have a long, not a long list, but I have a great interest in it, and I hope I'm not boring you, or I hope the community isn't like, "Oh, this guy's waffling on." But do you usually ask for permission, or do you just say, hop the fence?
Well, listen, sometimes I do just hop the fence. But if, like, say there's an abandoned location, there's a thing in Ireland called the OPW, and these buildings are owned by the state. So the whole idea of it is so we can have our own history. And these places will have a sign outside that says FOGRA. That means anybody in Ireland can just go to that. That is our property. We pay the tax to keep that building up going. We can go to it. And then there's the tourist spots where you have to pay in and stuff like that. I try and avoid them. But across Ireland, there's ruined castles with just a FOGRA sign up, and that means it's owned by the Irish state. You are allowed to be there. You're not trespassing.
Okay. All right.
But a lot of other places, like Leap Castle and Loch Hall, they're all privately owned. So people actually live. I don't know how they do it, but they live in these places, and they will rent it out to help with the upkeep of the castle.
Yeah.
So perfect, people for that would be people who want to have a party or go ghost hunting, and
Yeah, because I remember doing a lot of work up in Charleville with my uncle and that, and even talking to the residents that were like, "Yeah, there's the girl over there in the corner," and you're like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "Yeah, like I've often heard stories of the Dudley would be working in his office, and he would look up and see 2 soldiers just standing in front of him, and that's it. They're just there. They appear. They look at what's going on, and then they go off."
Definitely sleeping with the light on tonight.
See, again with the question of like owners and stuff like that, like I'm never afraid to knock on someone's door, especially if I know I'm trespassing. And I'll go, "Can I have a look at your castle? Can I go take a few?" I never say I'm going to whip out my spirit box and summon a demon, because they'll tell me to get off the land fairly quick.
Yeah, sure.
I'd knock on the door and say, can I go take some pictures? And most of them are nice. I have been caught red-handed with my spirit box in my hand, and it's very hard to explain what the hell you're doing to a farmer.
Okay, so elaborate on that if you don't mind, because that seems like an interesting story.
Recently, I was in Castle Otway, which you can go visit. Like, the farmer has no problem with that, but wherever we parked, it was the wrong place to park or whatever like that, and he was very, very nice about it, but he kept shouting to see where I was. And of course I had the spirit box, and I was like, how many spirits are here with me now? And then when he confronted me, I had to turn off the spirit box really quick, and he was just looking at me like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Hardest thing to explain, but I was just like, I was making a history video. You know it yourself. Nice castle. And I was
I'm doing a Leaving Cert project.
I've said that before. I said, I'm doing a thing for college. Can I go take some pictures? You know, you have to think ahead, and I think the student card is a very good one to play. Or if you're a historian and you're doing a essay on something, or if you're doing history in college, I use that sometimes as well. But some places are very open to it, like they're actually fascinated and they want to follow you around and see what spirits are there. And they'll, like, if I go to a location and I can't find any history, I'll always knock on doors and say, oh, that castle's amazing, do you know anything about it? Is there any local stories, ghost stories? And, you know, I'll do little voice memos and then have that for my video when the time comes.
Have you ever gone into an area where you did a investigation in Galway, at the castle in Galway? Now, this was a massive, wide open area. I think it was recently enough that you did it, and it was locked. Did you ever get into that area?
No. So, like, a lot of these places, when the land was given back to the Irish after the English thing, they were all given to, like, landowners, farmers. So, like, they would lock it up, and they're not very happy about people on their land, which is understandable because, you know, people opening gates, animals, livestock, things like that.
Yeah, I understand.
But, no, I've never got into that, and I would love to, and I did get comments on the video saying, go look, ask somebody locally if they have a key for it or anything like that. But if it's locked, I just stay away, and it's locked for a reason.
Yeah,
it's locked.
True.
Someone's going to get hurt if they go in.
Yeah.
And I always, I'm not going to lie, I do be fuming, because it's like, you know, dangling this amazing thing in front of me and I can't experience it.
Yeah.
But I never let a good location go to waste. I'll walk around it. If the spirits are there, they're still going to be able to talk to me if I'm standing outside the front door. It doesn't work that I have to be in a certain area to talk to a spirit. So, you know, and then if I find pictures online of the inside, I'll pop them up in the video so people can experience it.
Yeah, it's fascinating, but like that, it's like, as you say, it's like dangling a carrot in front of you. You're missing out on that kind of either on the rich history of it.
I have a joke all the time with the team and stuff. A locked door is our worst enemy because we're as the ghost people, we're just so curious about what's behind the door, and we just want to know. And for me, for my YouTube channel, it's so disappointing coming across locked areas, and there's so many of them. But you know, some of my team are more adventurous to me. They'll climb, scale walls, climb a castle, get in a window up like 30 foot high.
Yeah.
Don't give. But I just don't want to die.
You don't want to die on location. And,
no.
Yeah. Has there ever been...
a YouTube video though.
It would. It certainly would.
A
good obituary. A good obituary, as they say. Have you ever been disappointed by a location? Where you've heard stories of massive activity and then...
I was very disappointed with Loftus Hall. So Loftus Hall is the most haunted place, or haunted house in Ireland. Leap Castle is the most haunted castle in Ireland. So this place is spectacular. I mean, it is beautiful inside. It's a maze. I was so lucky I got to film a little video in there because you're not allowed to take photos or anything in there. And I was so lucky. But that night, I was a guest with another team, and they were hosting the public. And honestly, the energy was dead. It felt like there was nothing there. I did, I'm not going to say I didn't enjoy it because I just love what I do, but I really was let down because the stories from Loch's Hall that the devil visited it, there was babies that were locked up, or like, babies' bodies discovered in the walls, like for real, and the woman that seemingly had an affair with the devil was said to be haunting the place, and it was just so flat and boring, and just it was very disappointing.
Yeah, you see, again, it kind of, because I remember watching the film. There was a movie made there.
Yeah,
and it is very good, and it kind of it's the perfect setting for
horror movie set. Like the staircase is amazing, and the rooms that you don't get to see, like up on the 3rd floor where the nuns were, and then there's a staircase that leads up to the 3rd floor. I think it's the 3rd floor. It's a maze anyway. But there's a cross on the floor where a nun fell dead. The nuns put the cross to mark where she died because she fell down the stairs or something like that. And like we did get a few taps and bangs and things like that. But again, it's an old house. There's lots of doors, lots of windows, lots of panels, old furniture that could be creaking and banging, and it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Have you ever got like a demon that like came through and just absolutely scared the bejesus out of you?
Absolutely. I had one in Roundwood House Library come true. We did a haunted library. I always wanted to do a haunted library because Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And
right.
We went. I was staying in this Roundwood house, and the outhouses have this beautiful, beautiful library. And this was the first time I ever did a Ouija board, because I kind of stayed away from the Ouija board for a long, 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 long time. And through the Ouija board, we got the name Zozo. So Zozo is known to be a demon that comes through the Ouija board and is very aggressive, very scary demon. Now listen, I wasn't affected. I think he was targeting the other people I was with. So I haven't really had an experience where I'm not really sure if I believe in demons.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's good people and bad people that cross. There's evil and good. So I think people confuse demons for just somebody who was a dickhead in life. You know?
Yeah.
And he was absolutely horrible in life, like, you know, murderers and things like that. Yeah. And they confuse them aggressive spirits with demons. I think it's not like there's this little red thing running around causing all this activity. I think logically people have great stories about demons.
And Darby O'Gill and the Little People moment, like, you know, that kind of thing.
Just another thing Seamus says up in this chat here, that there's a bog near where he lives that his uncle and his cousins went to, and he was saying that the dog wouldn't get out of the car. He just whimpered the whole time, and that the dog was absolutely freezing cold and the hair was standing on end.
Right, so that would be definitely activity, because dogs are incredibly sensitive.
Yeah.
Like, I always know if something followed me home, because I have 2 little dogs here with me. They're just sitting beside me here, and always start staring, and they'll always start like snarling or growling, and they're not aggressive dogs. They're little dogs, like, and you know, dogs are incredibly sensitive to spirits.
Have I asked?
If you know where that is, let me know.
No, but have you? So you do go and
Seamus,
you cleanse.
Can you let us know where that bog is, please? Sorry.
Yeah.
My brother Jason actually wants to know. Sorry, Karen, for cutting across you there. Has anything ever been thrown at you, or have you ever been physically hurt by the spirit or something, a poltergeist or something?
Mostly because I asked for it. That's why. I had stone thrown at me in Lacking Castle, which is said to be haunted by a shapeshifter puka, which is just puka is just Irish for ghost. And I had like full force. I was there with a friend and a young child, and I was just messing. This was kind of at the beginning of my channel, and I was just messing around with cameras, you know, trying to figure out what I was going to do with this. And I just went to visit, and I got a stone because I asked for it. And we always ask for like spirits to throw something because it's physical evidence. It's really, really good evidence for a spirit to actually interact with something. Or what we have got recently is cat balls, sounds bad, but they're little light up balls that cats play with, and if touched, they light up. So they're very sensitive, so a spirit wouldn't have to do much to make this move. So what we do is like they're really cheap, and it's a good way of, like, paranormal equipment is so expensive. Like,
what was the equipment you were using on the stairs in Claire's house? So the little light up, it would light it up if there was touched.
Oh yeah, I think that would have been. See, some of the spirit boxes have functions where if the temperature drops or if it's touched, it would go off, and that would be an EMF kind of built in. So that'd be a strong. Oh, that little blue box, yeah, that's an EMF meter. So if a spirit's around, the electricity would be higher. The like EMF are used on building sites. Like they're not this major tool. It's to detect if there's like something's going to electrocute you, you know. Yeah, but if you're in a place and it's at 0, there's no electricity going to this house, and it starts going off, seemingly that's a spirit.
Right.
So,
sorry, we have Jake thinks he's been funny. He wants to know, have you ever done the Bloody Mary challenge?
I have. I have to get creative during lockdown. Because at the very beginning of the lockdown, it was very strict, like, yeah. So I was kind of scared myself as well, even though, like, I wouldn't be vulnerable to it, but my family would be. So I stayed away from leaving the house and stuff like that. So I got creative and I did conjuring spirits, Ouija boards, and Bloody Mary, all for my channel, just to keep myself going.
That's great. So
I possessed a teddy bear as well.
Oh my god.
You possessed a teddy bear?
Yeah.
Why? What did the teddy bear do?
So that's...
every game I played, I made sure the spirit wasn't allowed to stay till... The spirit was only allowed to stay till sunrise. So they weren't allowed to stay otherwise, and I protected myself, of course, and stuff like that. And listen, half the time it didn't work, so, you know...
But how does that work? So you don't do the pentagon in the middle of the room, the goat's head, all that stuff. What is...
No. So, like, the possession of the teddy bear, which actually did work, because I have on camera, I'll send you the link of the video.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
You can actually... I'll tell you the name, how you do it. Like, so you get a teddy bear. It could be a doll, teddy bear, whatever. You have to take the stuffing out. Okay. You have to put rice in the teddy bear's belly and a clipping of your nail and your hair. It's kind of like voodoo doll shit. And then you have to sew it up with red thread. And then you say a spell or a incantation 3 times, and you play hide and seek with the teddy bear. So you say that you have to name the teddy bear as well. So you would have to try and catch this teddy bear moving. So the whole idea of the game for me and for YouTube was to catch this teddy bear moving. So I had to remember that teddy bear, and then you have to go, okay, teddy bear, we're playing hide and seek. I'd have to go hide, wait for a certain time. If the teddy bear didn't move, I have to punish the teddy bear. So I had to put the teddy bear into a bathtub and stab it with... It's an old Chinese game, I think. And I had to stab it with a needle or a knife. I didn't have a knife, so I had a knitting needle. So I stabbed it with a knitting needle. But then the game went ahead, and I got scared. I didn't finish the game because weird things started to happen. And on camera, I caught the knitting needle in the teddy bear's chest moving up and down.
No.
As if the teddy bear was breathing.
Jake is just after saying that...
I'll send you the link of the video.
Jake is just after saying he saw that. He saw that on YouTube.
Sorry, the bog, it's called Johnstown Bog in Westmeath. It's
for Collinstown.
That's my father's bog.
Oh my god.
No way.
Bizarre. Collinstown.
Yeah.
Well, it used to be my father's bog. I don't know if he can get turf anymore, but yeah.
Marmotez is from Westmeath himself.
A lot of the time, especially during the Troubles in Ireland, when the British were killing off Irish people and stuff like that, they dumped them in the bog. It's a perfect place so they would have a lot of, we have bog bodies in this country.
We have a museum about it up in Dublin, yeah.
My brother wants to know, what's the most profound proof that you've ever experienced in person?
In person? It's not something I captured on the channel, but I was at an investigation in Leap Castle, and I was up in the Bloody Chapel, and the room was quite dark. It wasn't like fully dark, there was candles lit, but behind a man who was talking, who sadly later passed, there was a dark shadow right behind him moving around, and it looked as if he was wearing like clansman's clothes, like there was a sword sticking out.
Jesus.
A helmet. You could see the beard. But it was just so bizarre that you just kept blinking. You're like, what the hell is that in that corner? And you didn't want to say anything because you sound crazy. But to me, like, things like that happen to you personally, and regardless of YouTube or anything like that, like, that's something that stuck with me. And then I suppose hearing little children playing is one thing that gets me every time. Or like a little child's footsteps running, or a girl screaming, like in Lep Castle, a girl seemingly fell from the castle. Her name was Charlotte. And it was so weird that when we heard this girl scream, it sounded as if she was falling as she was screaming. Do you know that sound?
Yeah.
Like there's no glass in the windows up in Lep Castle. It's just opened up, like. And I remember like things like that where you're just like, there's no little girl falling off this castle, and I'm hearing a little girl falling off this castle. And the story of a ghost of a little girl is just things like that were more profound.
Some things that you cannot explain, even by logic, you would think.
And you always find things happen when the camera's off. That is the worst thing that I honestly believe we're not supposed to capture it. Yeah. We're not supposed to know what's on the other side, because if we knew, we wouldn't want to be here, I think.
Yeah.
So I think it's something like that. Do you know how to say it's paradise on the other side, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I think they don't want us to know. And I've got that, like, I've got spirits given out to me. Why are you here? What are you doing here? You shouldn't be doing this. And they try and bless me and everything.
The majority of your videos, and I've noticed this as a kind of a theme, when you go in and you have a spirit box, it's like spirit box time, and you whip out the box. It's like, hey, is there any ghosts here? And it's like, get out. Leave, get out. Does that not just, because you even said it in Claire's house, if you don't want us to be here, we'll leave.
At the moment, when I'm filming my spirit box, sometimes I don't hear what's coming through, because it's only when I listen back that I can hear. And sometimes I still get it wrong. Like, spirit box is very, like, everybody kind of hears a different thing because it's such a crazy noise. And I try to keep the spirit box I do 5 minutes filming with the spirit box. I keep it 5 minutes in the video. I could be filming for 2 hours with it, and that's all I get, and edit it all together. But 5 minutes on the video is enough because it can wreck people's head. But to hear get out and stuff like that, and I have heard it straight out, like, get out, that makes me want to talk to them more, because they're willing and they're strong. They're strong spirit. That means they're going to say something good. So I don't want some spirit going, hello, Kieran, you're welcome to my house. I want an angry spirit.
Yeah, you want to,
And then you can say to them, if you want me out, you have to do something. And that really gets me going, because I love that when they'll throw something, or they'll make a loud noise, or they'll push you and things like that. And I get a lot of spirits, they keep saying they're going to, but they never really do. They'll say, I'm going to poke you, I'm going to push you, but they don't. So,
is that because they're probably not strong enough? Sorry.
So we have up on them. You know, we're the living ones. It's our time. So, you know, for them to tell me to get out, they had their time on it. This is my time now, so I always kind of be respectful of that. But then I'm also, before I go on to do my videos, I introduce myself to the spirits, and I tell them, you know, I'm here, can I come into your house, blah, blah, blah.
So be respectful. Yeah, you see, you're not trying to, when you hear get out or whatever, you're not trying to antagonize them or, you know, conjure up any crazy things. You just want...
With the pandemic, I have to conjure up crazy things, but when I go to a location, I'm not going to mess with the spirits in the location. That's their home. I'm a visitor in these spirits' home, so I'm not going to play with them. I don't want them to follow me home. At the end of every video, I have to make sure that I protect myself, and I make sure I tell them they have no right to follow me home, which at the beginning I didn't, so I left myself wide open. But there's a balance. You have to just kind of respect it, but then at the end of the day, this is our time to live, and I'm here. I'm trying to show people evidence. I'm trying to make people feel better about crossing over or anything like that, or people find comfort in it. You know, that's why people see mediums. So, like, I've had a lot of people that have come onto my channel and say, you made me believe, and that means a lot to me, because that means that person's a little less scared. So things like that, like, I love about it as well.
Have you ever encountered the same spirit more than once?
Yes.
Yeah.
I go back. I have a spirit that is with me at all times, seemingly, and he comes through at the most inconvenient times. His name is Tom.
Okay.
So if you went back, and it would take you days, but if you went back and watched all my videos, you'll always hear Tom button his nose in. He'll always go, "I'm here, Kieran. Tom's here. Tom's here." I have no idea who Tom is. I don't have any relatives that were called Tom who passed away. But seemingly he's a guide of mine, and he's guiding me and protecting me when I go to these locations. When I go to locations, I have experienced the same ghost again. So like in Lacking Castle is one where I experience the head of the clan of the Kennedy clan, and his name, what's his name? Oh my god, he never shuts up about it again. Anyway, but he always says his name when I come in, and he wants himself to be known, and I go back there repeatedly. I like to go back to locations again, because then I can get evidence again, you know, and like show people that, okay, it wasn't a one-off, look, this happens again, you know.
And like, if you were casually just walking down the street or whatever, would you feel like a spirit, or would you feel something, you know, like
I've always been sensitive to spirit. I grew up in a haunted house. I grew up in a big family with 5 older brothers, and we grew up in a house dating back to the 1700s, which used to be an old black and tan headquarters, a prison, a post office. And when I was younger, I used to see a lot of things. And I've had bad experience where I was pulled out of my bed when I was about 11 in front of my brothers and thrown onto the floor, and just strange things like that have always happened to me. I do like tarot card readings. Hit me up if you want one. I do them for free. I do them for free, by the way. I don't get paid for it. I do it for free. And I do connect with spirit on a different level, and I think that's what draws me to this kind of world.
I'm a huge believer in the mediums. Like, there's a lady that I go to, and I remember my first time I was kind of skeptical, but like I was very close to my granny, and when she passed, I got her rosary beads, because like a few days before she passed, we prayed together with them, and that's all I wanted of her. And nobody knew I had them in my purse, only Kieran. And I went in and we're chatting. She was like, "You're only here for one reason." And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Your granny's behind you." And of course, you know when someone says someone's behind you, you know, it might look. I was like, "What?" And she was like, "What do you have in your purse?" And I was like, "What?" She said, "What's in your purse there?" She said, "Your granny keeps pointing to the purse." I can't understand it. I came out in a ball. Like, there's no way she could have known it. You know, like, she told me things about. And Kieran, we only had the car. Crazy.
Yeah, some people are so powerful with their gifts. Like,
amazing, yeah.
I'm more empathic. I just kind of pick up on things. Like, I've scared my friends with saying like their granny's name and stuff like that, but that's very rare for me. For me, I'm more I can see ahead more than I can talk to dead people. I wouldn't need a spirit box if I could.
Yeah. So you said that you avoided the Ouija board. Can I ask you why? Because the Ouija board, to me, it's more so of like a, you know, not a gimmick, but it would be more so pointed towards.
I think growing up, we all heard a story of somebody having a bad experience with a Ouija board, or The Exorcist, or somebody was pinned up against a wall and
or
it was
the
horrible.
devil or something, yeah.
Or possessed by the devil. We all seen The Exorcist, the movie, which happened with a Ouija board. So I think at the beginning when I started Paranormal Resident, I was naive. I was like every other person who just thought ghosts were just going to jump out in front of me. But now, over time, I know that the Ouija board is nothing more than a board game, and it's another way of communication. So people say, "Oh, I'd never used the Ouija board," and I was like, "Then why are you using a spirit box?" Because you're still communicating with them. There's no the Ouija board is not a magic portal for demons. It's literally the wood. And like, I've got some amazing things come through on the Ouija board, and some cool experience. But you have to know and not mess with it. I will say that, like, don't. If you think something bad's going to come true, you're going to make something bad come true.
Yeah.
If you go in, you just want to communicate freely and with good people, and you protect yourself, as in do a circle of salt, wear your cross, wear anything you want. Like, I wear a pentagram everywhere I go, and the tree of life just to protect myself. I like Celtic symbology and stuff like that. So like the Ouija board, it's another tool, and I think people are just too afraid to go near it. Like, I went to an investigate. I won't say where because then the person will know I'm talking about them. But we were doing a Ouija board, and this person absolutely nearly passed out when we got the Ouija board out and ran. Like, they were absolutely terrified of a piece of wood. And that was when I was just like, God, people watch telly way too much and watch these movies. Stick with them. Stick with you.
Another question for you, Air to Sleep has a question. A dog howling at night, but there's no dog in the house. Or there's no dog, there's no, there's nothing there to prompt the dog to howl, and there's things being thrown around the house. He was very close to his granny, so he's just asking, would it be...
If you're experiencing activity and you're experiencing your dog acting out of order, that is paranormal to me, and I'm a believer. So what I would say is you're not listening to the spirit. So spirits will only get loud and make noise and annoy your dog, and there's a reason you're asking this question here tonight to me. There's a reason you're on here tonight and you're watching this. So they want you to know that you have to talk to them. You're ignoring them. You're not... They want you to know something. It could be something as simple as move your wardrobe to the far side of the room, it's in my way. Or something as simple as that. I find if there's activity in a house, they're looking for attention. They want your attention. And the worst thing you can do if you're in a house and you're worried about paranormal activity is ignore it. You don't have to go get a priest and do an exorcism.
Sorry, that was my fault. There's no dog in the house at all. It's a dog. They can
hear a dog.
They can hear a dog howling. Sorry, I read that question.
Right. Well, then they do say spirits of dogs are around. So, like, it could be the owner is bringing, if there was an old person lived there, anyone who lived there, and they had a companion, the dog would be with them. You know, like in Let Castle, the first time I went with my team, I made a holy show of myself because a dog barked right beside me where there was no dog, and I jumped on a table because I thought I was about to be attacked by a dog, and there was literally no dog, and we were inside, you know, and like we find like, and there's ghost stories across the world, like everywhere across the world about dogs, especially dogs with their owner. So if there is a dog there and you're hearing a dog, there will be an owner there. They won't be there by themselves because the owner would have to bring them forward with them because they want them on the other side with them. Like, I know when my cat died, she was a beautiful black cat with big green eyes, and I can see in the corner of my eye all the time since she died, her scurrying across the room. Just a shadow, just little things in the corner of the eye and things like that.
Is there anything that you do to prepare yourself mentally? Because you said after you do these things, these excursions and you know, these activities, is there anything that you do yourself to mentally psych yourself up? How do you feel after, beforehand? Because I know it's in your videos, your demeanor does change, and you do have a kind of a look about you like you're going to faint sometimes. That's not, you know. Is there anything that you do and anything that you do after to rinse yourself of the evil that's out there?
Like before an investigation, you know, I'm focused on one thing, and that's getting a video on YouTube some of the time.
Okay.
If I don't, like, you know, it's kind of like I know what I need to get done to get a video to put together. So that keeps me busy and my mind occupied. So I don't do this mad ritual before I go into a location and protect myself. I wear a pentagram around my neck, which is the four corners, and that protects me, and it has done. When I leave, I turn my back to the location and I say, you've no right to follow me home, and I do not look at the location as I'm walking away from it. So I'll just turn and walk to the car and do not look behind you. And that keeps me safe. If there was something bad to happen, I bring sage with me. So sage is it cleanses any bad negative energies. You can use Palo Santo, sage, even salt. If you grind a bit of charcoal with salt, that's a brilliant way to protect yourself. But sometimes I psych myself up and I just try, like, I'm not there. If I knew I was going to see a ghost, I wouldn't go in because I'd be too scared. So I try to think logically. This is a building. This is stone. This is just a floor. This is just a door. This is a creepy corridor, but it's just a building. And I psych myself up to get this filming done. And then my favorite part of it's not actually when I'm really in the location, it's when I look back, and that's when you really see all the good things.
That's great. So can I ask you another question then? Do you think that with all your how long are you doing this? Are you doing this a couple of years?
A year and a half now.
All right. So do you think you've become desensitized to that kind of thing?
I've become more critical of it.
Okay.
Before, everything was a ghost. And I think most ghost hunters will tell you this if they're doing it for any period of time. For the first 5-6 months of me doing it, now I didn't take a break at all for the last year and a half. I just constantly location, because this is what I want to do and this is what I love doing. Yeah. So it's my full-time occupation. And after about 5 months, I just copped onto myself and I was just stopped getting carried away so much. Like, sometimes I still have my freakouts because that's just normal. There mightn't be a ghost there, but you're still going to freak out if you're in a creepy corridor by yourself at nighttime. That's just
natural.
Of
course.
That doesn't mean there's a ghost there. But I kind of, you do become accustomed to it. You can see better in the dark as well, which is cool. But you do become quite accustomed to it, and even a lot of the team members, where everybody else, the members of the public, be jumping, we'd be like, "Come on, do more!"
Yeah,
egging them on. Then at the end of it, so for us, we're always looking for more. We're nothing's enough. A ghost could come up and say hello to us, and still we would be like, "We want more," because that way we're going to be able to, and especially on YouTube, I'm going to be able to portray to people what I felt and what I saw if I get as much as possible.
So I got another question for you here. My airless leaves his girlfriend's mother seen a shadow go across her ceiling. A face appeared then on the wall and never went back into the house for 3 days, and hearing a noise dragging across her ceiling while in the living room. And another thing, her brother had posters all over his room, and they all together they just fell on the floor. So the house that the girlfriend's mother lives in probably has some sort of entities or spirits.
That sounds quite negative to me. So like with shadows, they're quite negative. So why are they masking themselves? Why are they hiding themselves in darkness? Why are they throwing things off the wall or taking things off the wall and scaring people? That to me sounds like you are not welcome in this house. You don't be hanging stuff on my wall. And I'm gonna scare you out of here. So what I'd say to for that person to do, if that is happening, I would definitely have a cleansing. I would, talk to the spirits. Don't ignore them. Tell this is my home now. I'm sorry about it. Good luck. And see if things calm down. But shadows to me are always quite negative.
Do you? Here's a stupid question, probably for me. Exorcisms and exercising houses and sage and all that kind of stuff. Does if a house is very active and if a house is very dangerous for occupants to be in, is it possible to rid of these things?
Yeah, you can. There is still exorcists in the Catholic Church. Like, you can get when people say they get their house blessed, that's a form of exorcism. It's like getting rid of bad spirits. And as Irish people, we all had our houses blessed. We all had, and if there was any activity, you get the priest out, throw some holy water in the corner. But
you bless the car if you get a new car, that kind of thing.
Like that. We're superstitious people. So I don't know. Like, exorcisms are I always get DMs and stuff, and I help out. If anybody has a problem in their house, I'll come to their house and cleanse it for them. So I just use sage and stuff like that. But what I always do is I talk to the spirits first. So say if your house tomorrow there was a bit of activity. Now that you're talking about it, you might even get a little bit of activity.
No thanks. Stay away.
Kieran ringing me at like 4 o'clock in the morning. Why did you come on? So listen, I always try and talk to them, and then I'll do a cleansing. And I did one recently. My partner's brother's apartment. He was having a lot of sleepless nights and things going bump in the night and flickering lights. And they're kind of private things for me that I would go and help out with stuff. I wouldn't film someone's home and be that personal. They gave me permission. I'm not going to be that dickhead that just wants to put the camera in the face.
You're going to be up on Instagram. Hey guys, I got a sage here.
I'm not going to do that to somebody.
Sure, I understand.
Worried,
Yeah, no, absolutely. You seem very respectful in terms of how you go about your, like as you said, you need to be.
I try to be respectful, and then sometimes I can be quite aggressive with the spirits, or I'm not afraid to curse or call a spirit out and give out to them and things like that. But I think at the end of the day, you have to be respectful, and you're not going to get anywhere if you're going to be a dickhead about things.
But even just towards the people, even the people that you would meet and the people that you would work with, like you seem very, you seem very good at what you do. How is your YouTube channel now? In terms of growth, you seem to be flying it now.
I am actually flying the last few about a week or two, and it's kind of shocking because I never had such an influx of people come in. Like for me, like YouTube is impossible to grow on. So the fact I have over 1,700 people, but only last week I had 1,500 people. So now I have 1,700 and something, near 800, and like that's 300 new people. And then one of my videos went up to 20,000 views, 21,000 views, another 27,000 views, and I'm getting like so many new, and it's quite mind-blowing. Like it's not what I thought it was going to be. Like we all want a bit of success with, especially yourself as a streamer. We're trying that because we're passionate, but we love it. We want to do good. And it's very disheartening when you see absolute useless people do these things and they have millions of subscribers or millions of followers, and you're just like, why does that douchebag have that many? And I'm here, an actual genuine person, doing my best, and I get none.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're barking up a wall and it's literally echoing at you.
I hate this crap of, people making you feel less than because of the amount of followers someone has.
Yeah. Like,
that is absolute crap. Like, I'm sorry, where are your followers when you need them the most? Like,
True.
Come on, like, get real. That's a number on a screen. Yes, you make amazing friends along the way, but you're providing content for people, and that's really it, and you're making cool friendships. Like, I love my followers and my subscribers, but at the end of the day, that doesn't make me me. Yeah. Like, if I had one person watching me, and like I always said, when I started this off, if I change one person's point of view, which I have, I've done a good job.
Well,
and that, for me.
You've absolutely, like, I've always been a believer, but been fascinated about the history and been fascinated about spirits and ghosts. Now, you've definitely, and I think a lot of people that in my stream, like, as you were saying, you love your viewers, you like to cherish your followers and that kind of thing. It's definitely...
We're living in a world now that everyone thinks they're somebody based on followers.
Yeah.
That's not how the world works. Like, at the end of the day, we're all just people eating ice cream in our fucking underwear at like 2 o'clock in the morning and end up,
Yeah, well...
I'm not special because I have a certain amount of followers, and I've come across other ghost people who literally will not talk to me or will not acknowledge me because of a number on a screen. Wow. Which does not, that's why I always kind of stay away from the paranormal community and things like that, because it's all about the numbers, it's all about the money, it's all about this, that, and the other, and I'm just here, a guy running around with a camera. I don't have an expensive camera, I use my phone most of the time, and I won't invest into it until I start earning money from it.
Well, I find that's fascinating that you just use your phone camera, because you seem to pick up, and like you said, when you're doing your editing, that's when you hear ticks and bangs and stuff like that, right? Yeah.
That's when I get the most scared. because I usually do my editing between when everybody's in bed and I get some time to myself because I have to have the volume up sky high, and sometimes I'm wearing headphones, it'll hurt my ears, the spirit box going on and on and on, because you can imagine what you see is 5 minutes, I'm listening to 2 or 3 hours of a spirit box session.
I understand you,
trying to repeat it and stuff like that. But I think I'm learning with my editing, and I'm trying my best. I make mistakes here and there, and everyone's human. Like, I do get, like, at my early videos, the quality was quite bad. I didn't know what I was doing. I really didn't know what I was doing. But I think people need to forgive somebody for trying. All you can do in this life is bloody try and do something you want to do.
Well, that's
and don't
it.
let anybody tell you otherwise.
Because
people have me, I wouldn't be. Oh, this is bullshit. Well, he's gone loony. What is he doing? Like, even I'm sure friends and family were like, what is this guy doing? At the end of the day, like, I get to meet cool people like yourself, and I got to be on a team. I got to stay in the most amazing places in Ireland and visit the most amazing places, and I don't have over 2,000 followers. So that doesn't make any difference to me.
Have you ever been abroad and done anything like that? Or?
Yeah, I got to go to London, which was really cool, and I got to investigate the Wellington Hotel in London, and I went to the London dungeons, and I dragged my mother into the London dungeons.
I was dragged into the London dungeons when I was 7 or 8. My parents brought me in. They were like, "Oh, this is a cool activity to go in," and I went in. The guillotine,
Yeah.
And you put your head in, and next thing it chops. The head fell out. Yeah. My ma put her head in. I was like, "Oh my god!" Next thing I picked up, here was a bloody head. It was like a cabbage or whatever. But I remember, it's fascinating. It's a fascinating insight to your world, what you do. Thank you very much for coming on to the interview. I know it was a bit shaky at the start. We were kind of red in the face.
Technical difficulties don't make a difference. We had a good conversation.
Where would you like to see? I know this is a typical question, but in a year, 2 years, 3 years, is there anything that you want to branch off and get into?
I kind of just live life as it comes, like whatever comes of it. I kind of have this feeling I'm meant to be doing this.
Yeah.
Like, something is telling me, like, I suffered with depression and anxiety a lot, and Paranormal Resident was born from me getting out of my shell and trying to do something I love and make myself happy and make, my depression go away. And, I think if I don't go to a location for a few days, I get very sad. I get, like, there's something about it that it fuels me. But I think in a year's time, I'd like to travel more. I'd like to go to there's some amazing places in France and Italy, and Scotland. I'd love to go to. But I'm going to see what this journey has for me. I'm glad I started the journey. And if it ended tomorrow, I wouldn't regret a thing.
Yeah, I find that too. When I started streaming on Twitch, Sinead was pregnant, and we were in an apartment, and I was like, I have to try and do something just to get out of the apartment, because now this is before COVID. This was before any of this kind of went on, and I was like, what's going to happen in a year's time? Like, if I don't do this, I'll kick myself and I lose momentum. And it kind of started as a thing where I was just streaming with my nephew, and then it kind of went on to something much bigger than what I am. And it amazes me that I have 8 people watching and 10 people and 15 and on and on.
I think the same, but like what I say to you, like, you have to remember, not everybody can put themselves on camera and talk. And it's one thing I learned, not many, but that takes guts to put yourself on camera.
Well,
and you have in you, and you're a good orator, you're good at talking to people, and like, that's a gift. And if you don't use it, like, you do get sad and you do feel lost, because if you don't use that gift, like, before Paranormal Resident, I barely talked to anyone. I don't know how I'm actually a year and a half later, like, being able to do these things and put myself on camera and put myself out there the way I do, because it's nerve-wracking.
It is, and it can be, yeah.
You're going to get hate. You're going to get, social media is a double-edged thing. Like, you're going to get hate, or people are going to either love you or hate you. And I think I have that with me and my channel. They either love me or hate me. They're like, shut up here and whine.
Yeah, I get that, but I think it's more, because I'm trying to branch out into different forms of Twitch and getting into the podcast, and I'll still have the gameplay and I'll still have that kind of thing. But
my advice is always never stop because the numbers aren't what you think they should be. Never ever stop it, because just do it, like, fake it till you make it is what I always say. Do it as if you're actually talking to all them people. I have done lives at the beginning and stuff like that where only 2 people, 1 person, 0 people, but I talked and I just got on with it. And I think once you do that, you will get there. It's what you put into it. Like, hard work always pays off.
Well, as you said, if you can convince one person that and make someone happy, because where I see it is, if I can make someone smile today, or if I can make someone's day better, or communicate, as long as what I'm putting out is constructive and positive, and especially now when I think when I look back on what is going on in the world.
Even one comment that you made someone smile today. It's as simple as that person probably had no one to talk to, and you talked to them that day. That makes a huge difference to someone's life. But as people get bigger, they forget that. They forget who put them there.
Yeah, exactly.
They forget. And this is the thing I hate about bigger influencers and things like that, that literally, once they reach a certain thing, or a certain milestone, followers who?
People who,
you just adore me and that's it. No, you built this community, you're the head of this community, show some respect for the people who put you in your place.
Well, exactly. I mean, without the people that have stuck by you at the start, like we have logs here about people that have been following first, and the OGs, the original people that came in, and I'll always remember those people, because without them you wouldn't have a community, you wouldn't have people clicking on your links because they tell their friends. And
you have one person watching you, and that one person is interested in what you do. You're making a difference, and that's all that really matters at the end of the day.
Well, listen, it was a great chat. I mean, we went way over the time, but it was a fascinating insight into your world, into what you do for fun. Some people would probably call you a thrill seeker.
I'm going to go get the holy water. That's the house now for days.
Yeah, but I really enjoy it.
Next week to cleanse for you, don't worry.
And if you ever are around the area,
what we could do for your followers on Twitch, we could do a live stream in a haunted location together.
Ooh. And I won't be there, just so you know.
Yeah, you will.
We should do that.
I'll stay home with my baby.
You could do something around maybe Halloween time or something like that as a special episode for your Twitch.
Oh, well, that would be great, yeah.
We live right across from the castle, and the story behind the castle is that there's a metal cross on the outside as it passed, but apparently like the devil haunted that, and that door is locked, and it was just all folklore as we grew up. But I've never been in it. Like it's closed off to the public because people live there.
It would definitely be something that I'd be really interested in doing, yeah. And I'm a fan of your channel. And again, thank you very much for the subscription yesterday. That was very kind of you. You shouldn't have done that.
You have all the fans here on Kieran's going to say, yeah, I'll be there, I'll go.
They're like, yeah, that's a great idea, that's good. Because they love to see me scared. I did a live streaming of me watching a horror movie. The movie wasn't scary, it was Slender Man. It was terrible.
Yeah.
And I wanted more of a scarier.
He gets more
experience.
scared playing a game of a loud noise.
I get more scared of Resident Evil than I do of movie now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
I think your followers there will absolutely love if I scared the bejeebus out of you.
Yeah.
I'm easily scared.
Especially if you're live, because there's no retakes then,
Yeah.
They're clipping. A lot of people do actually. There is ghost hunters on Twitch that just stream their investigation, and maybe one day I might go into that if I build a bit more of a following. And
I'll definitely be there anyway. I'll definitely, if that's a thing you want to do, we could Why not?
Well, it would be the last you see of the two Kirons.
The two amigos, absolutely.
The two amigos, right?
Yeah, right. Well, listen, that was great. Paranormal Resident is on YouTube. He is
Instagram.
Absolutely. I think you're crazy personally, but I think you really are doing what you're doing. You're doing what you love. It's a great thing. Check him out on Instagram, YouTube. Where are you? You do your thing.
YouTube and Instagram. Instagram's kind of like the home of Paranormal Resident. That's where I do lives and card readings. But YouTube, just search Paranormal Resident, and you'll see my face looking shocked.
All right, that's great. I'm gonna cut. If you want to hang out there for 1 minute, Kieran, I'm gonna just cut the stream. Again, thank you very much, guys. That was really, really good. I really appreciate the numbers coming out. I'll probably. What time is it?
It's 11 o'clock. It's too late to stream.
Oh yeah, it's too late to stream Friday. I'm gonna go directly. We intended on having a conversation for maybe
like 20
a
minutes,
half an hour 40 minutes. It flowed. I'm gonna cut the stream there. If you want to hang on 1 minute, Kieran, and I can just chat you there 1 second. All right, lads. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate you. Good luck.